amazing, beautiful people. Thank you so much for tuning in today to Inspiring Entrepreneurs from Start to Finish. I am your host, Christina Faith, and this is Inspire Nation, where we inspire you to start, finish, and grow. I hope you enjoy the show. Are you starting your business? Are you trying to get another business off the ground? Are you in need of legal help? Well, guess what? LegalZoom is the company for you for starting your business, running your business, for your personal, your family interests, or even your wills and your trusts. If you head on over to cfaith.us/inspire legal, you'll be able to get incredible discounts to start your business today. That's cfaith.us/inspire legal. Hey, how you guys doing? This is Christina Faith here. You are tuned into Inspiring Entrepreneurs from Start to Finish. Today we have the amazing guest, John Lee Dumas, on the line. He is the entrepreneur on fire. If you listen to his podcast, you know that Fire Nation is always heated up. John Lee Dumas is the founder and host of EOF Fire, an award-winning podcast with today's most inspiring entrepreneurs 7 days a week. JLD has produced over 1,000 episodes on Entrepreneur Fire and generates over $300,000 a month in revenue. With over 1 million unique listens a month, Entrepreneur on Fire has inspired Fire Nation to take control of their life and take the entrepreneurial leap. And today we have the amazing opportunity to talk to him, pick his brain, and be inspired to start and finish our projects, our business, our ideas, and anything else that you are working on. John, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Christina, it is rare, R-A-R-E, to be joined by somebody who is as enthusiastic, has as much energy as I do. So thank you for being you, and I am prepared to ignite.
Yes, indeed. Let's ignite. I don't have an amazing name for my people yet. We're thinking of finishers. My podcast editor today was like, you know what? We need a name for our listeners. And I was like, you're right. I don't know what to call them. Maybe the finishers. I don't know.
I'm going to have to put an X through that.
Okay.
I'll do it on the podcast right now. So what's the name of your podcast again?
Inspiring Entrepreneurs to Start and Finish.
Inspiring Entrepreneurs to Start and Finish. Okay, well, I'll stew on that, but we'll come up with something good.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, yeah. I didn't like it either. She X'd it as soon as I said it. So, John, for all those people who don't really know what you do, what do you do?
I run a 7-day-a-week podcast called EO Fire, where I interview today's most successful and inspiring entrepreneurs. We've been awarded Best of iTunes. We generate over 1 million unique listens every single month, and we have a lot of fun doing it. I've done over 1,100 episodes to date, and Christina, have some faith that I'm not stopping anytime soon.
Definitely not. One of the things I absolutely love about you, John, is that you are always the same. I don't understand how you do it, and I'm working on it. I listened to your podcast a while ago, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be me. I'm going to be loud, obnoxious, and just in your face. Because when I heard you, I was like, you know what? This dude does this all the time. He loves it. He has a passion for it. And what I really love about you is that you do it 7 days a week. Tell us, how do you do this 7 days a week?
One word. Batching. It's all about the batch. You know that song? It's all about the bass,
Yes.
no trip. It's all about the batch, no singles. And what I mean by that is, you do an interview on Tuesday, then 2 on Thursday, then 3 on Wednesday. It takes over your life. Mm-hmm. Every Tuesday, I have 8 back-to-back interviews scheduled. Mm-hmm. I start at 9, I end at 5. It's a long day, Christina.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. But I bring the heat. I wake up knowing this is my 1 day of EO Fire. And I just bring it the whole day. And guess what? It happens. And then it's done. Then I have 6 days to do other things. And, in the pre-interview chat that we had, you complimented my scheduling system because it is legit. It's on point.
Yes, it is.
And girl, it's definitely to be modeled after.
Yes, it is. It is. And I'm sure you have a course for that, or you have something to tell us how to get there.
There's an app for that.
Yes,
no doubt.
there is an app for that. Definitely. So can you tell us about your journey? Like, how did you get started? Not so much how did you get started in the podcast. How did you get started as a human being developing, what kind of child you were. Did you go to college? That kind of thing.
How did you get started as a human being?
As a human being.
You might have to talk to my parents about that. We'll keep this PG, or at least not X-rated. But
Yeah.
long story short, I grew up in the state of Maine, so I was a country boy growing up, and then I went to college on an Army scholarship, so that kind of slapped some sense into me. Spent 13 months in Iraq as a platoon leader of 4 tanks and 16 men. Finished my 4-year tour of duty in the Army, and immediately was 26 years old and said, hey, let's take on the world now. And then spent the next 6 years failing at law school, at corporate finance, at commercial real estate, fail. Finally, at 32, I said, man, I just have to start following my passions. I have to do something of value. Mm-hmm. And the idea for a podcast came. And Christina, that was 3 years ago now. That was over 1,100 episodes ago. And it's been a blast.
Oh my gosh, this gives so many people so much inspiration, because so many people are at dead-end jobs. They hate what they're doing. They're like, oh my gosh, what do I do with my life? And to hear that only 3 years ago that you started your podcast and you just stuck with it, that is so inspirational. Are you inspired? I hope you guys are. So with your passion and it's starting, how did you stand out and remain authentic? Because you started at a time where podcasts were just beginning to really be popular. I remember probably in about 2008, I did my first podcast for a church, and I realized like a lot of people didn't understand what it is, and they still don't, which is great. But how did you stand out in the midst of all of that?
One funny thing I will kind of point back to is it's interesting how on it the churches, when it came to podcasting, they were like the trailblazers. Like I hear so many people who say, I thought podcasting was just a church thing because my church had it like back in 2007. And I was just like, man, they really got it. They understood the value of podcasts back then. It's surprising the rest of the world took so long to kind of catch up. And also, Christina, when you said, are you inspired? Like that just kind of struck a chord with me. I told you I was going to stew on it. I think your audience might be Inspired Nation.
Oh, wow. The Inspired Nation. I feel inspired.
I just feel like,
nice.
Man, that just goes with your energy, with your vibe, obviously with the name, maybe put it out there, see what the audience thinks about it, see what your virtual assistant thinks about it. I guarantee she'll like it better than finishers. She might not like it good enough. She might not like it enough to go with it, but I personally love Inspired Nation. So you can see where that goes for sure. But back to your main question, which was what again?
My main question was, how did you stand out and remain authentic? Starting out, because you have a very in-your-face personality, and a lot of people when they hear that, they're like, oh my gosh. But for radio, for podcasts, it's like, yes, I need that energy. So was it your energy that stood out, or your content? Like, how did you stand out?
It was really a combination of a lot of things. It was definitely the energy. That was something I wanted to bring from day one. Although I'll tell you, my first number of episodes, I did not bring the kind of energy that I bring today, because I didn't have the comfort. I didn't have the ability for me to actually be authentic with my own voice from day one, because I was starting from scratch. I had no experience. I didn't have 2008 experience with my church like you did. Like I was really starting from scratch. So it took me some time to really get into my groove, so to speak. But I knew that I wanted the energy as quickly as possible. So I was working towards that every single day. But also, it was my 7 days a week. That was unique. That made me stand out because nobody had figured out how to do a 7-day-a-week interview-based podcast around entrepreneurs. And so I was the only one doing it. It was rare. It was new. It generated a buzz because of that. And also, I had a very formatted show. To this day, I still ask the same questions. What is your worst entrepreneurial moment? What is your aha moment? The lightning round questions haven't changed. It's a show where when you press play, you know what I'm going to say. The only thing that you don't know is what my guests are going to say, because every story is completely unique, is completely different, and is incredibly inspired. And I know that Inspired Nation would love it.
Nice. Yeah, we do love it. And you're very much one of the podcasts that I listen to on a daily basis, because you're not always giving us the same information. I feel like everyone is following the same formula in so many different ways. But when I come to your site and I'm like, wow, this is different. So if you had to give entrepreneurs one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say this. It's all about the UVD, unique value distinguisher. What are you doing that's really getting you that uniqueness, that value that you're giving, and that's distinguishing you from all the rest? We hear about that red ocean where all the sharks are, where everybody's kind of swimming around. You got to get into that blue ocean where nobody's there yet, and you're doing something different. You're bringing something different to the world. That's why, even though back when I was a bad podcaster, I still built an audience because I was the only person doing that thing, which was a 7-day-a-week podcast. So because I had such a strong UVD, it brought it out to me. And that was so huge in so many different ways. And that's really what I kind of hung my hat on until I actually got decent at this whole podcasting thing. So that can really be a big lesson for people to learn.
And now you can talk to anyone at any time at the same energy level all the time.
Drop of a hat, baby.
Drop of a hat.
It didn't come overnight, though.
No, not at all. You're 1,081 podcasts in, you can't even say that number. So
1,100.
1,100. You could just say
something.
You could just say 1,100. How did you keep going in the mundane times? Because I find that a lot of entrepreneurs, we stop, right? And we're like, this isn't working. And it's really when you keep going. How did you keep going? How do you keep going? Because it's got to be more than the money for you.
So many people pod fade, and that is a real word. They start podcasting. They're so excited for all the right reasons because they're getting their voice, their message, their mission out to the world. They're talking about a topic they're inspired by. They're talking to people who inspire them. All these great things are happening. But then reality sets in. Now 2 months have gone by and they have to wake up and record another episode and another episode. And, they probably didn't take all of my advice and batch them. So it's taking them, time every single day to do these different things and to edit and to schedule and to set things up. And they're probably not building a team around them to take some things off their plate. And all these things are just kind of piling and piling. And it's just, like that, all those proverbial straws that just eventually break the camel's back. So you have to be very focused and very structured when you're approaching your business and make sure that, hey, I want to be in this for the long run. I mean, I could tell myself back in 2012, I am still going to want to be interviewing successful and inspiring entrepreneurs in 3 years. And guess what? It's 3 years later and I was right. So I definitely looked at it like a marathon, not a sprint. A lot of people are just saying, okay, John interviews entrepreneurs. He makes a lot of money. He's very successful. I'm just going to do that. Well, they don't have any inspiration. They don't necessarily want to be talking to entrepreneurs. They don't necessarily want to have those conversations. They're just doing it because they think they can become successful. No, you need to be finding that thing that really fires you up and lights you up inside, and then coming up with a plan on how you can execute that, because it's the marathon, not the sprint. Those people that have that mindset and that focus, those are the winners.
Inspire Nation, I have a very special offer from Bluehost for you today. Every single entrepreneur, writer, blogger, anyone who's trying to sell anything online needs web hosting. And Bluehost is the go-to web hosting program for over 2 million websites worldwide. They've got Google integration, WordPress integration, and 24/7 support for only $3.95 per month. If you use the promo code at cfaith.us/Bluehost3, that's cfaith.us/Bluehost, the number 3, you'll be able to get your WordPress web hosting for $3.95 per month. No one can beat that with incredible money-back guarantee. Definitely. If you don't stop and if you don't discover what you're really passionate about, a lot of times you just fall off, like you said. Because if it's not you, it doesn't last. It never will last. So in the midst of discovering, what you're really passionate about and allowing it to be your lead and to be your guide and not to give up, what do you think as an entrepreneur is your personal why? Why do you do what you do?
Freedom. It's simple. It's one word. Freedom. I know what not freedom looks like, because I spent 4 years in the Army, corporate finance, commercial real estate. I know what it's like to have to work for somebody else, to have to fulfill somebody else's dreams, to have to sit in a cubicle, to have to adhere to a certain schedule. I was suffocating with that. Some people thrive in those scenarios, and that's great. And you're not likely listening to this podcast if you thrive in those scenarios, because why would you? So if you're hearing my voice, you likely are looking for freedom as well, or you're looking to just improve upon the freedom that you've already found. And if you have already found it, congratulations. But that was my why. It was, how can I provide enough value to the world and something that I enjoy doing that can bring me freedom to continue to just expound and grow from that and continue going forward in a really powerful and passionate way. And wake up every morning knowing that, hey, everything that I'm going to do today, everything that's on my schedule today is there because I put it there. Like, I'm talking to Christina Faith right now because I said yes when she emailed me. I could have said no. That's the freedom that I have. I'm thrilled that I didn't, because you're an amazing person with great energy. And it comes down to, though, that I had to say yes, and I did. And I love that ability to really decide how my days are being spent.
Nice. So in the midst of your days being spent, you have the lovely Kate Eckerson by your side. One of the things, I'm an entrepreneur, and me and my husband, we work side by side. And when we were courting, we were working side by side, and it was a nightmare in the beginning. What was your worst experience working side by side?
We were literally side by side too. I mean, we were in a 1-bedroom apartment. We had one desk, which it was a long desk, but it was still just one desk. So we shared it. And, it was just one of those things where I had to look at her and just be like, hey, I'm about to jump on an interview. Like, can you leave the room? And she's like, what, like go into my bedroom? Because that was like the only other room that we had in the house. And I had to be like, yeah. And, and it sucked and it was tough. And she wasn't happy. And she had to go to, coffee shops just to get out of the house. And it just wasn't ideal. So fortunately, the business was successful enough where we definitely could afford to move, and we did move. And now we live in a beautiful 2-bedroom, overlooking the Pacific Ocean, just in a gorgeous place. She has her own office, which right now the door is closed, obviously, and she's working away, having fun. And, I'm in the living room, just staring at the Pacific Ocean and loving life. And it had to get there, but it doesn't come overnight. You got to go through those times first.
Yeah, definitely. And what would you say is like the it moment that happened for you that kind of like exploded your business in a sense?
There really wasn't an it moment, and I think that's okay, because the reality is it was a slow and steady growth of EO Fire.
Nice.
Every single day, I just consistently put out free, valuable content. And again, the key word was consistently. I did this over and over again, and I just continued to see a nice, steady, and slow growth. And that made all the difference in the world. So really what I say to people is, don't look for that overnight success. Don't look for that hockey stick where it's just like a straight line, then straight up. That's not a really successful business. That's not the kind of business that is going to be around for the long term. That's kind of one of those like fly by night businesses. EO Fire has just been a slow, steady growth, and it's been a fun journey, and it's something that I'm proud of.
Nice. In your journey, how has mentorship really been important to you?
It's been everything. I mean, when I launched, I didn't know anything about podcasting. So I went out and I found a person who was where I wanted to be. And that was Jamie Tardy, the Eventual Millionaire. She's still a dear friend and a very successful podcaster. And she guided me and mentored me through those difficult times. And there's a lot of difficult times when you first start, because you don't know anybody. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know the mistakes you're supposed to be avoiding. And a mentor can guide you through those. And so that was critical.
Definitely, definitely. What was your favorite interview so far? I know you have so many of them, but one that goes down in the history books for you.
Sally Hogshead was amazing. I brought her back on for a second time, and she had me take her fascination test, which is like 28 questions, and there's a total of 49 different archetypes. And I just went down and I took the test, and it was a really tough test. Not like tough, difficult wise, but it was just like I really put a lot of thought into it, because the questions were very thought provoking. And by the time she got my answers and computed it, like I came out as a certain archetype called a victor. And then she proceeded to tell me during that interview how the world saw me as a victor. And that was really interesting and really cool, and really helped me kind of, just interact with my audience, Fire Nation. I mean, nothing like Inspired Nation. We're talking about Fire Nation.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the things that you found was, in the midst of bringing a guest on your show to add value to Fire Nation, you brought a guest on a show that then added value to you and helped you serve Fire Nation in a greater way. And one of the things that Fire Nation and Inspire Nation now would love to know about John Lee Dumas is, what's your setup like? As a podcaster, that is probably the 100th thing that everyone asks you, and it's the reason why you have a resource page. So people can ask you about your podcast setup. What's that like for you?
Yeah. So my podcast setup, you mean like equipment and physical wise?
Yeah.
So I'm right here in my living room in Pacific Beach, San Diego, California. It's
just rub it in Philadelphia's face, huh?
Hey, we all make choices, Christina.
You're right. I made the choice to be here. Sometimes I wonder.
I am standing at my next desk, which is an electric desk. It actually goes up and down with a push button. So I'm standing now because this is a very high-paced, energetic interview, and I like to be standing for these so I can expand my diaphragm, which is really important. I'm on an iMac computer. I'm a big Mac fan, and I am talking into a Heil PR40 dynamic microphone, which is a great broadcast quality microphone. It's about $330. Not cheap. I actually recommend people going with the ATR 2100 if they're just starting out. It's $60. It's a great value. But I list out all my equipment recommendations at eofire.com/equipment. My Heil PR40 plugs into a PreSonus Fire Studio mixer, which is connected to my iMac via a Fire wire. And I do all of my recording and editing through Skype directly into Adobe Audition.
Nice. So there you have it. And you can go to EOF/resources to see the rest of that. And John, you have thrown in all of our faces, as most people, the Inspire Nation is listening from their commute to work, that you absolutely love the beach. You love where you are. You love looking outside. What's your favorite place to work? Like, what puts you in a zone, or even your favorite place to relax?
I love going for daily power walks around the bay here in San Diego. That's kind of my pre-work work where I kind of think about my day. I am working because I'm thinking about my day. I'm kind of setting things up. I'm getting prepared for the different things that I have on the schedule. And it's just kind of my quiet time and my relaxing time, and, getting the fresh air, getting the sunlight, so some real vitamin D, and just kind of, having that as my time. And that's been huge, and I've really enjoyed that. And that would definitely be my number one. And kind of a side note, I know I recommended Inspired Nation, but you nailed it. You said Inspire Nation. That's so much better. It's quicker. It flows. Inspire Nation. I think you got it, girl.
I think you're a great listener as well. But of course, for one day a week, listen and talk to people. You live and you live the dream of being able to just listen. I think Lewis Howes said it best. Like, you have the ability now, because you're interviewing all these people, to sit at the feet of some incredible teachers of our day, which helps you to be greater and helps your nation to be greater. So I wanted to just thank John Lee Dumas for coming on today and inspiring this nation to be able to get out there and do it. I hope that you guys are inspired and you go and you listen to John Lee Dumas. He is amazing and he is consistent. You're always going to find something amazing on his website, on his podcast, on anything that he does. Go ahead and download his free podcast course, his free webinar course, and just be inspired to start and finish. Have a great day, guys. It's such a pleasure to have spent some time with you all today on From Start to Finish, where we inspire entrepreneurs from start to finish. I have an amazing offer for you guys, like really amazing. I took some time and really thought about what does it take to get productive and what things are eating at our productivity. If you text right now 44222, the code is GETPRO, GETPRO. I'm going to give you a free book as well as a template in order to help you get productive and plan out your hours and your weeks and your days to get more done. Avoid the social media trap. Go ahead and get productive today.